Hi, this is Future Editing Me. I don't know if I said it in the video, but this video is going to replace the video that I would generally upload on a Friday. Your Path Forward, the class taught by Sarah Cannon of Heart Breathings, starts on Friday. It goes from Friday to Saturday, and I want to sit in on that class again. I'm filming this now to replace that video that I would upload on Friday. I'm going to do my best to keep this video short. And then if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And then subscribe if you'd like to see after the pin videos of my planners. This will be my catch-all planner for 2026 and not my writer's notebook planner. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a flip through of my Wonderland 222 A5 size, which I use as my writer's planner notebook journal. I realized when I was working on it this past weekend that the 2026, which I have in here inside my Coach cover, that the planner started in December. Today's the 8th, so it started last week. So technically speaking, I could set this aside and start using this one. This one I plan on using as my catch-all planner, which in 2025 I was using the Sterling Ink Common Planner, which is this guy right here. So you can see how thick he's gotten. Let me put this back here. So the reason why I wanted to stop doing this was that I was keeping track of my daily task in the weekly layout in here, and then I would transfer that information in here into my Sterling Ink using more stickers and making it really pretty. Because I didn't finish using all the pages in the back for 2025, I decided to continue using it for 2026 as my writer's notebook planner journal. But I won't be using the weekly layouts as well as the monthly layouts anymore. So first off, let me show you what it looks like. So if you have a Coach planner, this is what the Wonderland 222 will look like. So it does fit. I currently had mine in the Hobonichi A5 cover, so it will fit. But let me just show you what it looks like if you just use a little bit of washi and a little bit of stickers in here. So you can see how it's bulked up just a little bit, but not much. And it will be a tight fit inside the Coach cover. So let me just go ahead and slide this in really quick and show it to you before I start the flip through. So you can see it's kind of a snug fit. It will work, but it just realized that it will be a snug fit. So you can sort of see what that looks like with the binding or with the clip over here. Pull this guy out. So I've really enjoyed using the Wonderland 222 planner in general. My favorite part of it were the trackers. So I never figured out how to use these two, so they stayed blank. And my intent for next year, as well as this, so I put down the plotting beat sheet, which I honestly never looked back on. So I probably will not be doing this for 2026. This is the quarterly layout. She has the 3 months here. So I broke down my goal for each month of what I had hoped to do for the month of February. And then here it is going this way for March. I have goal 1, 2, and 3. I generally had goal 1 as my writing project. Goal 2 was cleaning out my room, what I called my library. And then goal 3 was my garden, the backyard, hoping to start a vegetable garden, things like that. I had my project, the day that I started, and then the day that I ended. And then I gave myself 3 projects, which is why you see this row here, no color. Here's my second row, which would be my second project, and then my third project. So that was my intent at the start of the year. So you can see what they look like. So you can see for Q2, I didn't really give myself any goals. I did try in May to get back on the bandwagon of doing it, but you can see I didn't start anything, I didn't end anything. And then we go into June. Here's Q3. Totally gave up on trying to do it. Though I do like the idea of how to keep track of my goals with the projects, start end dates. I just wasn't feeling up to doing it. It was right about this time, I think, that we were starting to go through my husband's health issues. And then here's the last quarter. We're in December now. So you can see I didn't do anything for this one either. So over here you can see I wrote down appointments, courses, important dates, birthdays of what I could track. Now here are the trackers. It starts in December. So you'll see that in the blank one, which I will do a quick flip through of that. And I just want to say that I will try to edit this down as much as I can to try to keep it informative. But this is how I kept track of the things that I wanted to track in December. So you can see I wrote down questions for myself of the things that, you know, what did I want to track. Now there are 18 lines. If you go with this individual right there. But if you're like me and you take up 2, that will give you 9 things that you can track. Okay, so within the box, let me show you. I don't have a blank one. Let me get the blank one. Okay, so here's a blank tracker. Now, if you fill in just this portion, each line, there are 18. Because I can't write that small anymore. My eyes aren't the best. I took up 2 lines, as you can see over here. So in the top half, you can fit 9 tasks. And I wrote down the things that I could be tracking over here. So you can see the task, the habits that I wanted to develop. And then any time that I did it, I colored it in with a highlighter. And the days that I did not do it, at least for December, so a year ago, I used a black pen to color it in. And I like the way this looked filled in. I did the same thing for January. And then February. Over here, I was starting a new face routine, so that's why you see the X's. So I started it, I think on the 20th, on the 21st is when I started. So that's what these individual X's are, was that I was not doing it, and then I started it here and then kept going. There's March and then April. Around this time, I switched over to my gel pens because I realized I had a whole lot of gel pens and decided to go ahead and start using that. I was using a highlighter marker to highlight around the entire page to make the whole thing pop out. Now here in June, I decided to try to not use black ink to show or to indicate when I didn't do that habit. Instead, I decided to leave it blank. And I couldn't tell if I liked it this way or if I liked it this way. In the end, this felt less cluttered, less busy, and I could tell definitely in a glance what days I did my task, my habits that I was trying to develop. So I kept this layout, this coloring moving forward. So here's July, there's August, there's September, there's October, November, And then here's December. This is the notes page. This would be the December overview. Over here, I was deciding how I wanted to break this down for myself. And then I decided that I would list my projects that you saw in my goals page. So let's go back to the front when I actually filled it out. So over here, I would put over here. So project number 1 would be my writing goal. Project number 2 was going to be cleaning my library, organizing the room. Project 3 would be my gardening, starting seeds, cleaning, weeding. And then number 4 turned out to be our self-care for myself and or my husband, either one of us. This is the December layout for last year. And I really tried to keep this writing related, writing courses, and then any appointments that I needed to remember that we needed to keep up. At the time we had Bruce, so he had his nail appointment. So these were classes that I needed to attend. At the time we were getting water delivery, so there's that. And then here's Christmas. And then this was Bruce's last appointment, which was the 23rd. Yeah. So after the monthly layout, you get the weekly layout. This is the stacked version, which means that your weekend is stacked versus having its own individual column. I prefer this just because my husband and I, we don't do much on weekends, so this was enough room for me. Down here, I would keep mail. I started to keep track of groceries on this side, but that would come and go. And then I would just decorate with a little bit of washi. I used markers, highlighters to do this. The weekend, the to-dos. If I had really important appointments, I would put them on top. So you can see the street cleaning here. Bruce had his oncology appointment. You know, the gardener, ordering meds for Bruce. The trash was picked up. So that kind of gives you an idea here. The washi sticker is from Amazon, from like a little booklet pack that I purchased. Now this, I tried to do functionally, very little stickers or washi tape, just enough pop of color to keep me entertained. And then on the weekend, I would have this laid out. And let me show you what this looks like in my Sterling. Okay, so for Sterling ink, it starts on January 1. So this is December 2024. This is how I laid it out. And I was having fun with decorating it. Again, trying to use a little bit, but at the same time, enjoying the holiday because it was December. This one I didn't decorate. We let Bruce go on the 23rd. He passed away from cancer, and I just wasn't having it, so I'm okay with this. I knew what happened. This is the December review. So this is how I decided to mark the day of my December review. Now here's the January overview. And this is where I wrote goal 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can see it's writing, home projects, garden, self-care with Jay. And then, so this is my project. And then over here are the tasks that relate to the project. So these are the things that I need to do to try to accomplish finishing my project. So that can kind of give you an idea if this is how you decide to break down your projects with the task listed over here. This is the January month, so earlier this year. Really plain. So here is the first week of January. So you can see once again, functional, just a little bit of washi tape. Now if you look here, this is in the sterling ink. This is my catch-all planner. So you can see how this one I really loaded up with stickers. And that was my intent with my catch-all. I have a lot of stickers, I have a lot of washi tape, and I really want to use them up. I'm almost on a no-buy spend. I'm on a no-buy. The only time that I've bought anything, for the most part, is like buying the new planners, maybe new markers, but for the most part, I try to avoid. Actually, I was getting the washi tape from Coffee Monster Co. I did sign up for that subscription during Bruce's treatment, and I recently canceled the subscription. Yeah, so we'll just stop there. But, so you can see what this looks like versus that same week in here. So you can see how it's very functional. Very little stickers, and here we are, lots of stickers. Now here's my January review of the goals and the projects that I wanted to complete, and then why I did or did not complete said project. So this was kind of holding myself accountable and just being honest with myself about why I wasn't able to get these things done. If I didn't get it done, and if I really wanted to try to keep working on it, then I moved it over here. So you can see that I did move my projects over. Instead of putting my task over here, I placed them under here. I'm not sure why I did that, but I did. So this is what this one looks like. Still keeping this very simple, very plain. The sticker washi tape is from Jet Pens. Jet Pens. Once again, February review, wrote down my goal projects, why I did or didn't complete it. And then here I decided to put in some pop of color. Again, more for me than anything else. Same concept. Anything that didn't get finished here and I wanted to keep working on it, moved it over, kept going. So here again, you can see my goals with the project that I was concentrating on. And then here are the tasks for the individual projects. March and April. Wanted more pops of color, so I did it like this. More color. Again, April, review, May, overview. Now in May, I try to add a bit more color in my monthly layout. Jay's my husband, went on his fishing trip. So that's when I did that. One of the washi tapes that I received from the Coffee Monster Co. subscription package had these dates. So I started using them here. And that's another one right there. Here's my May review. Even though I made it pretty and colored it in, I didn't have any June goals that I wanted to try to complete. And then here is another opportunity for me to try to make it pretty, or just add pops of color, really, because I don't think this is pretty. If anything, it's slightly colorful versus the earlier months where they were just plain. So same thing here. I was trying something different, trying to make the colors pop out a bit more. Right about this time, I was starting to feel tired of keeping this beside me, filling this in, and then on weekends coming in and then filling this in my catch-all, which is why I'm getting rid of not doing this for 2026 in my writer's planner. This is going to be dedicated because I did not finish filling in the Wonderland 222, that I'm going to dedicate this as my writer's notebook for 2026. I won't be keeping track of this stuff in here, but I will in my new Wonderland 222 for 2026. But I was just getting really tired of doing this, and I was trying something different by highlighting the different colors of the task that I did for the day. So anytime I wrote that in yellow. If I did anything else, it was in the different color. So I was trying to be more colorful about the page, but I got tired by Thursday and I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went back to just writing down my task with no color coordination to it. Now my June review, I decided to do it differently. So let me go back to the May to show you the difference. So this is how I was doing my May review and then my June overview. Instead, I decided to write down what I didn't like about the month of June, what I did or didn't complete. And then over here, I drew the picture of the month layout for July so that I can see how many days I actually wrote. So when I wrote, it got a red heart stamp, and I got that from Jet Pens also. It's in here. This is the little container that I also purchased from them. But I would stamp anytime I wrote, and then I would cross out the day as the day happened. So then here is my July goals for writing, health, self-care, and then adventures with my husband. And then again, highlighted it for the pop of color. Now in July, I decided to keep track of the weather in here. I keep track of the weather in here also, the Sterling ink. I do it in the monthly layout, so you can see what it looks like here. But I decided to start keeping track in here because it's, again, right about this time when I decided that I was not going to buy a dedicated writing notebook for 2026. I was done keeping information here and then transferring it over into my Sterling ink. I was fine with it in 2024. Didn't bother me. I really enjoyed writing it down here, transferring it over to the other planner. This year, it just became too tedious for me. I just couldn't do it. So what I had wanted to do here, knowing that I was going to keep track of the weather and that this was going to be in my catch-all planner, that I also needed room to keep track of any appointments, water delivery, street cleaning, anything like that. So I was trying to see how it looked by putting the weather on the bottom line in my monthly layout box, daily box. So this is the first look of how I was trying it for July. This stayed the same. Now I enjoyed doing it like this, where I gave myself, in this case, my wins and my losses for July. I once again drew August for the following month, stamped down any days that I wrote, and then if I didn't, left it blank. And then here were my goals for August. Now this time here, I decided to take half a box versus just the bottom line. So you can see the difference. So I actually preferred this one better because I get to take up a little bit more room. and I still had room for my appointments. In this case, this was street cleaning, the water delivery. So this is for August, and this is the layout that I plan on using in the Wonderland 222 for 2026. Is the top half will be for appointments, and then the bottom half will be for the weather. And I also keep track of the humidity. I think it's fun to look back at the weather. In my 5-year, I have it in there too. I just find it so interesting. And then this stamp is also from Jet Pens. Because I had it, I wanted to try it to see what it looked like. So that's what it looks like. So here's my August review, my wins, my loss. Here, I don't know what I did here. I don't know what these stamps mean. I think the solid heart meant that I wrote, and I think the double heart meant that I either edited or read what I wrote. That's my guess. You think I'd give myself a little key so I know what that meant. So I'm assuming that's what it means. Over here, September goals. The purple line is for a class that I sat in again, which was the HB90 class taught by Sarah Cannon of Heart Breathings. And I think this worked. It looks busy, but I think it works. And then like up here, we had street cleaning. And then my husband, let's see, I had an appointment, and then my husband went to urgent care the next day. So this looked a little bit cluttered, but it works. I think maybe next time I will put the street cleaning up along the date, or right next to the number of the day. September, and then here's my October. Here's my goals again. October, November. Here's the November review, which about this time I am getting really tired of recording 2 different locations. I've also been in a really reflective mood because of my husband's health, and both of us trying to figure out what we're going to do depending on his outcome. So I haven't been writing as much as I wanted. I've been doing little bits here and there. I've been talking with my friend Karen, my Facebook friend Karen. Hi Karen, if you're watching. But this is blank. Again, I'm okay with that. So here is December. Today's the 8th. So you can see where I wrote down the weather down the bottom. My husband needs to do blood works sometime this month, which is why I have the sticky note over here. Sarah Cannon is offering Your Path Forward, which is on the 12th and the 13th. So there's a sticky note there to remind myself. I think the HB90 course is being offered. Well, it is being offered again. I think it's on the 14th. So that's why there's a sticky note there. She's doing a live co-working class between, I think it's 12 and 2 Pacific time. So sticky note for there. And then Jay has a scan that he needs to do on the 28th. So I have that there. But I just want to move this into my Wonderland 222 since I can start using this. This starts on December 1. And then I can just set this aside. And then anytime I decide that I want to write, then I'm going to pull this guy out. let's see. I will show you what so this was kind of how I was using my writing page. So I would write down the day that I wrote, what my goal was, the scene. Over here was my start word count, my end word count, my total words written, the page that I started it, and then the page that I stopped. So here I was editing, revising book 1. I'm still working on book 1. I've been working on book 1 for a very long time. But this gives you an idea. And then down here I put notes. Any issues that I might be having, I would write down here on the bottom. So here's Tuesday. There's ones that you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Over here are some points that I wanted to write out. So that's why it's covered by a sticky note. And then, like I said, I didn't finish. Let's go this way. So you can see what got filled. This is how much I have to go to fill it up. So I decided that I am just going to keep going. I'm hoping to fill it up for 2026. Now, let me just show you really quick the blank brand new Wonderland 222. And this is going to look the same as the one that I just showed you, my 2025. So here's the index. Here is the 4-year plan of the 4 different years, 2026, 27, 28. And then here's my Q1. So it's January, February, March. And I'm probably going to break this section down as you saw it in here. So I will do the 4, let's see. Yeah, so I will write down for the month of January what I want to accomplish. Same for February, March. Here's Q2, Q3, Q4. Now here's the trackers starting in December. And again, you get 12 for the year, 1 for each month. Here's notes, and then December overview. Here's the December 2025 monthly layout. And then we get to start December 1. Today's the 8th. So I do have to fill this in by looking at this planner one last time. And then keep going. Now I also picked, because I enjoy it, the pages in the back are blank. So this is the last week for December of 2026. And then this is where you would start your daily pages right here. And since this will be my catch-all, this will get thick. I will probably put it back. I will probably use my Hobonichi cousin cover for this one and just put it back in here. So I'm really looking forward to setting aside my Wonderland 222 that I used for 2025. I think this is a great planner. It's very similar to the Sterling Ink, which I also like. I just really like the trackers in here a bit more. So I hope you found this video helpful. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you like to see after the pin videos. I will be uploading this video early, and this video will take the place of Friday's video. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. I'll talk to you then. Bye.